Hi there. Hello. It's me. As always, H to the Z. Feeling a little bit festive today. I got my Christmas jumper on. It's the T-Rex with a Santa hat on it. Got a little tree that's blocked as well. We're getting to that time of year. It's Worlds time. End of the year, that's when the Smite competitive world ramps up towards Worlds. We've got 2 more tournaments left in this season. We've got the Smite World Championship placement round and the Smite 1 Championship bracket itself. So I'm here to talk a little bit about that. I'm going to start by talking about, I guess, the most pertinent, most recent thing that has been announced, and that is the Valhalla Valkyries with a roster change. Let's go to here. There we go. Seamless. So the Valks have unfortunately had to make a roster change. All visas for the Valkyries are approved. However, extenuating circumstances are preventing the full roster from relocating to the US. In the wake of these circumstances, the Valks have made a few roster changes that will take effect immediately heading into the SWC placement round. So basically, I can give a little more info on this. So this roster change was made a few weeks ago. It was Johnny out, Ice Ice in. At the time, this roster change was made because Johnny was unable to relocate to the US for the tournament coming up next week because of personal reasons, and they brought in Ice Ice and they practiced with Ice Ice for a few weeks, and then something else came up for one of the other players, which meant they couldn't relocate as well. And that kind of blew all their plans out of the water. And so now the Valkyries, other than Ducky, will not be traveling to the US and will be playing from Europe. Basically the gigantic kick in the balls on top of a season of kicks in the balls for the Valkyries. You got to feel pretty bad for them. It's been a terrible year for all involved. And I guess the one thing that we could all be happy for is it's almost over. Yeah, it's tough. They've also brought in Cherio as coach, by the way. This was actually done a little while ago. He's been their coach for a bit, rather than Tigress. Poor Tigress, kicked again. She was, I think, registered as the Renegades coach before I took on that role a couple years ago as well. So second time Tigress has been kicked by a team. So yeah, just it's a cutthroat world out there. But yeah, tough times for the Valks, you have to say. Yeah, I don't know if there's much left to say on that. They're boned. If you don't know anything about Ice Ice, maybe you joined the comp scene a little bit more recently. He is originally of, I guess, you would have known him for that old rival roster with Wolfie, Kalas, Vote, and Deathwalker. Definitely a strong team. Alpha Jackal as their coach as well, of course, not to be forgotten. Definitely a strong team who did really well. Ice Ice as a jungler, if I was to sum him up, I would say he is... he plays quite unusual picks and quite aggressively through the early game. He's quite a facilitative jungler. Not too similar to Johnny. I have Johnny more in the hyper farm and in hard carry games. Ice is much more likely to play gods like Ratatosk, like Odin. I think even this season he's whipped out a Sylvanas jungle, so he plays weird stuff, but he tends to be very active in the early game and try and get things going. So it could be a good thing for a team that are undoubtedly going to be struggling to play mechanically at the same level as their opponents to get maybe a big early game lead and snowball some games through him. But I don't think it's going to happen. But there's your quick bio on Ice Ice. I know Ice didn't really want to take on this role. He was asked by Emil, I think, and Ice said, yeah, I'll do it if you can't find anyone else. And because he had a visa from previously living in the US, he was one of the only choices for the Valks. So that's who they ended up going with. That's how that came about. And yeah, good luck to the Valks. It's been a terrible year. You've got to feel bad for them. It's got to be a pretty bad year for some of them to bow out of competitive Smite as well. I mean, I don't think we'll see Raffer competing next year. I'm not sure we'll see Emil or Zeros or maybe even Cherry as well. So tough times for a lot of these guys. A tough year. And yeah, it's capped off with this. So fun. Let's get a little bit more into the tournament, the teams that have qualified and who's going to be in there. The format is a little bit confusing. For some reason, it's 2 groups. I don't know if I really like the format very much. There's a couple things about it that I find strange. I think could have been better. But basically, the 3rd and 4th seed picked one team to go in the other team's bracket, and then it was a random draw, apparently, which seems... Why not just use the seeding that's there? I don't get why the... I mean, we've played for the full year. The regular season's pointless enough for most of these SPL teams. I mean, they've gone into this bracket regardless, so why not at least make it count for seeding? I don't know. I don't know why it's groups. But I'll talk. I guess I'll talk about that when we get into the brackets. Let's talk about the teams that have qualified. Circuit playoffs number 1 EU is Elysium. Which one of these tabs is Elysium? I think it's this one. It is Elysium. We got a couple pictures here. We got Adapting and Tricks have pictures. Terrorum, Angry, Spudio, and Alka is their substitute. Very strong team. Have pretty much dominated the EU SCC the whole year. Have stayed together the whole year, which is an unusual thing for the SCC. Teams seem to mix and match all the time. So that's the EU number 1 seed. NA number 1 seed is actually Sleekness. I think a lot of people will be a little bit surprised to see the 2 teams that qualified from NA not featuring, you know, the Herculean Hoofs or Sturdy Artisans, or what, I don't know if they renamed in the end. But Sleekness made it through. Somewhat a surprise. They won the NA tournament. Played pretty well. Dude Man Bro really impressed me in the Hunter role, is one thing I'd say. But, you know, definitely just 5 solid players who have been around for a bit as well. I mean, you should have heard of all these guys. Oatsy was considered like a really up-and-coming player for a bit, otherwise known as Ishtau. You might have seen him under that name as well. But yeah, a strong team, doing well. Who else do I need to show you? The EU number 2. So this is Captain Autie Fan Club, a team that came out of the SOC in Europe. Basically, some of these players, I think Coast and Rapio definitely were on the team. Maybe Gunter as well. I forget. We're on an SCC team that could no longer qualify into the Worlds bracket. They decided to drop down into the SOC, and they made a great run. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they get on. Bevy Monster, another Scotsman, flying the flag for our wonderful Smite playing country. So yeah, good to see him making it in. This is a team that I think will be working pretty hard going into this event and want to prove themselves, and kind of like young up and coming talents for I know that Rapio and Coast have been around for a long time, playing console and stuff like that, but Coast, I think, has proven himself on PC now. Rapio did it before he even moved to console. He was competing against me in 2016, so you know he's been around for a while. Anyway, that's the EU teams, and the final NA team is the Winner Dogs: Aquarius, Kermie, Benny Q, Sybil, and Wowie. So, you know, some names you'll know again. Guys who have been around for a while: Benny, Wowie, Aqua, Kermie, Sybil. I mean, all of them. And then UG is their coach. Previously was playing Hunter in the SCC, wasn't he? I remember him playing Apollo, unless I'm totally misremembering. But yeah, Winner Dogs. Playing some unusual picks. Benny Q in the mid lane. Got some fun stuff going on. So good time to watch them. Okay, let's have a look. So we've got 2 brackets here. We've got Group A and Group B. Let's have a look at Group A. So let me get some things out of the way which annoy me about the bracket. Especially with the nature of the groups being random, apparently. And I don't understand why they haven't seeded it. So here you've got Winner Dogs who finished second in NA against Kozak's Fan Club who finished second in EU for the SCC and SOC qualifiers. So these 2 teams, despite both playing second, play against each other, and the first seeds play against each other. I think that should 100% be first seed EU versus second seed NA, and vice versa. I don't understand what the advantage of having it random would be. Why don't we just use the seeding that we've got? Doesn't make sense, but oh well. But they're gonna be the first round matchups. They're the only team that don't essentially get double elimination. So as you see, there's a bronze match here. The whole bracket isn't actually on these things. I don't know. I'll show you the article again. Where is it? So, on the final day of the placement round, the loser of the grand finals match and the winner of the third place match will face off in a last chance qualifier match for a final opportunity to make it to Worlds. So 2 teams out of each bracket make to Worlds. The winner of this final and the loser of this final versus the winner of this bronze match. I don't know. I also think that if they're going to do this silly thing where at the end they have this weird double elim, not quite double elim, but almost double elim thing, why not swap it so that the teams in each bracket play each other? So the loser of the final in this bracket would play the winner of the bronze match in this one. Why not do that? I don't get it. I don't know why the tournaments have to be so badly thought of. I don't know. I feel like they could have been thought out better. That's just my opinion, though. Anyway, let's go through the brackets. Let's see how we expect these games to go. I think Winter Dogs versus Kozik's Fan Club. I think Kozik's Fan Club will be the lower league team that'll be taking. They'll really be coming in trying to prove themselves here. Do I think they'll beat the Winter Dogs? I mean, the ping diff is just so tough. I know that I've seen Coast grinding a lot of NA ranked. I'm not sure if the rest of the team have. I think Bevy has been as well. And maybe others have been on Smurfs. I'm not sure. But for me... Oh, these are all best of 5, I believe, by the way. Best of 5s. I'm going to say the Winter Dogs come through and Kozik's Fan Club drop out of the tournament. And Winter Dogs get the prize of getting to play against the Leviathans. What a win that is. You'd love to see that. They'll go up against the Leviathans. I think the Leviathans will win that handily. Scarabs versus Warriors. A super interesting one. I'm really excited to see if the Warriors have arrived. We know that Dardes and Fred have arrived in the US, and Chuck as well, actually. El Chuck Lomio, the coach for the Oni Warriors. I think I saw he flew into LA, unless I'm very much mistaken, just a few days ago, maybe a week ago. So Chuck has arrived as well. So they got a full 6-team roster in the US. Will we see the Dardes of old? Will we see the Cuvo Fred of last year's Smite World Championship? Will we see a competitive Oni Warriors? I don't know. And as for the Scarabs, which Scarabs will show up? I think there's definitely a lot of room here for the Scarabs. They've come in, they've shown that they can be creative and they can come up with stifling drafts and they can counter draft other teams really, really effectively. So let's see if they can do that into the Warriors. With less on the tapes to study here, because the Warriors are almost a new team. They haven't played in a bit. Dardes and Cuvo Fred's God pose will have completely changed, or at least I hope they'll have completely changed. So this is a really exciting one. This is the matchup of this side of the bracket for me. I'm going to give it, you know what? I'm going to give it to the... who am I going to give it to? I'm going to give it to the Solar Scarabs. I'm going to say it's a tight set. The Scarabs take it, come up with some novel strats, and the Warriors drop down into the bronze match where they'll play against the Winter Dogs. And I think the Warriors win that. Finals, I think the Leviathans beat whoever they're up against, Scarabs most likely. And then we get a rematch of the Scarabs versus the Warriors one more time. Warriors come in, they sort out their drafts, they take it, and they're going to the Smite World Championship. Fred and Neil looking to do it. Neil looking for a 3-peat. Fred looking for a double. Chuck looking for a 3-peat as well. That's the way I see this side of the bracket going. Let's look at the other one. Okay, Slinkness versus Elysium. Again, I think ping diff might just be too much. Elysium, an incredibly talented team, but one who I think it is fair to say have given up. Spoilers. I mean, a lot of you probably don't know this, but they ain't scrimming. They ain't playing the game a whole lot. I think as soon as they realized they weren't going to be able to travel, which is a point that I haven't mentioned yet. None of the SEC teams are traveling to Georgia, by the way. So none of these teams will be there. Ping diff will be too much, I think, for the EU guys. I've just kind of said that there's going to be ping diff without talking about that. My bad. This is why I need notes. I should bring up the Hayvering thing so that I can at least say, I was just Hayvering, man. See? Yeah. I think Elysium are going to probably struggle with sleekness. I think probably going to be underrated, probably going to be underestimated by teams in this bracket. And I think they could come out with some novel strategies. Similar, I think both NASCC teams have the potential to have some interesting drafts and interesting things up their sleeves. I think Elysium will fall out of the tournament here. First round, did sleekness go through? And they get the huge prize of playing against the Jade Dragons. Jade Dragons have fallen down to lower league opposition before. Never forget Armada. If you haven't seen that, it's a great set to watch. Armada played like Erlang Shen mid and stuff like that and managed to beat out, at the time, I think they were called Rival. But that was that Jade Dragons core, who fell down in that one. But I think the Dragons will come into this hungry. I think them being in this bracket is almost a good thing for them to get more reps in and get more practice before the actual World Championship bracket. I think they will sweep aside sleekness. Bolts versus Valks. There's no shot for Valks. I think the Bolts are a little bit lucky to find themselves on the side of a bracket where they don't play against anybody who's going to challenge them, because I think they definitely look shaky as of late. They haven't looked inspiring for me the last couple phases even. They had this early season dominance between Laspra and Ven, where they were both playing really, really well and doing a lot of work. But I think the Bolts have looked weak. I think this break they could come out and have really figured things out. They are a team with the potential to do that, to figure things out and to come in strong. I think they're quite a good theory crafting team when they put the time and the effort in. So hopefully that's the case. I would like to see more out of the duo lane, especially. I mean, Haddix I think fell off a little bit in solo with the kind of the first major solo shift since he started playing in the SPL. I think he did suit this warrior meta more, which is pretty much back. But I feel like Jake and Barra, we just haven't seen any of the likes of the duo lane dominance that we saw out of them last year. We haven't seen these crazy dominant duo lane displays where they're invading purples and getting early kills in lane and zoning the other team off the waves and things like that. It just hasn't really happened. So I'd like to see more out of them. I think they'll sweep aside the Valkyries easily. Valks will drop down into the bronze match where they'll play against sleekness. But first of all, we got Jade Dragons versus Bolts. I think Dragons will win. I think it'll be convincing. Then Bolts drop down. Sleekness versus Valks. I'm going to give it to Sleekness. I don't know though, but I mean, I'm just going to go on the side of EU ping is too hard to play on. We'll see though. This could end up being, I would be really interested if this was Valks versus Elysium. I wonder if they play on EU ping. That'd be pretty funny. They play on EU servers and Ducky's just sitting over in Georgia, getting ping diffed again. The whole year he's been getting ping diffed. He finally makes it to Georgia and he has to play an EU team. That'd be fun. But yeah, I think this will most likely be Sleekness versus Valks. Sleekness take it, and then they lose to the Bolts. That's my prediction for this side of the bracket. Sorry, it's not like it's a very confusing bracket. It's all in all a pretty confusing situation as this year has been. But yeah, there you go. I hope this wasn't too rambly. I'm doing my best. I got my Christmas jumper on. I had a haircut for this video, but I evidently didn't prepare well enough, I think, because it has felt a little bit rambly. So I apologize for that. I'll see if I can get some more videos out before Tuesday. There's a couple things I'm interested in doing, so maybe give me a shout down below as to what you'd like to see. I maybe want to see if the replay files still work for the Phase 3 playoff games, and maybe have a look at Leviathans versus Kings, and how the Leviathans capitulated a little bit there in that one, or look at the final and Kings versus Titans and look at how the Titans made their comeback from 2-0 down. I think either of those could be an interesting thing to look at. If there's anything else you'd like to see, give me a shout down below. But that's going to be it from me. Hope you're having a great run-up to the festive period. Hope you're looking forward to some nice time off with your families. And hope you're looking forward to these games starting Tuesday of next week. Yeah, I should probably mention that. That's the 15th, I believe. 14th. The 14th this tournament starts on. Jeez. I really am all over the place, haven't I? aren't I? Anyway, yeah, 14th we got Group A and Group B quarterfinals, 15th Group A semis, 16th Group B semis, 17th Group A and B finals, 18th Group A and B third place matches, and 19th Group A and B wildcard matches. These are all going to start at bloody 11 ET, otherwise known as 4 UK time, so I'm most likely going to be an hour late for streams each of these days. But, you know, I got a job, so I can't just bunk off. But yeah, that's it from me. Let me know if there's anything you'd like to see in the comments, and I appreciate you all. Subscribe, like, comment. Tell your mom you like this video, maybe. Tell her about it over dinner tonight. Don't do that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.